So the morning of August 24th, 79 AD was just like any other morning. The only thing that you can see is just a little bit of what they would have probably thought of as clouds coming out of the mountain, tremors, which are, would move the earth, but they were used to that. It wasn't particularly alarming to them. And yet the night before, shocks were so violent that things moved and maybe even fell over and broke. So your character needs to experience this. So if you're having them waking up in the morning, they should talk about what happened with the big earth shaking the night before. What you're seeing is the roof tiles are moving from another earthquake. Animals would definitely react to this. Have noises, use your 5 senses. Now we're moving on to 1 o'clock. This is the eruption that everyone will experience. So your character needs to spend the morning doing something. After lunch, they're going to notice this. The earth is going to move. They're going to hear things. And they're going to see this cloud. Now they're going to be scared. They're going to come out to look at it. So ash is drifting over, and they're seeing this big cloud. They have to make a decision now. So between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, when it gets even worse, your character's getting ready to do something. Think about what your character would do. So notice a lot of noise. You would hear the noise of the falling stones. So by 3 o'clock, you have to make a choice. So they said most residents run. Some seek shelter and they just hide. And some stay behind to guard their property, probably people who had a lot of property to guard or were too afraid to try to run. And you can feel seismic shock waves. Things are starting to get clogged. It's very noticeable. You see the ash like snow. And there's danger from the falling pumice stones. Pumice is a very harsh ways, or it's like sandpaper. So it would mark you, it would hurt, and it could be hot. So there were a lot of things happening, and they are seeing the beginning of a tsunami with the sea being sucked away right outside of their city. So that could be something your character notices. So if your character chose to stay home, things are getting really tense. So the roofs are falling in, buildings are collapsing from the weight of all the stone and the ash. So if you were home, you're being buried. If you ran, you have to deal with the roads being clogged and everything is dark. There's flashes of lightning. There's fires either from the superheated material from the mountain, or the volcano, or from their lamps turning over in their homes and their fires that they had in their fireplaces starting fire in their homes. So the earthquakes could have caused that. A lot of noise would be happening. Very desolate, very dark. Pyroclastic flow coming down the sides of mountains. Pyroclastic flows are just superheated mud from the mountain. Be like an avalanche. It says they were suffocating the people within. It would burst through the windows. It would go up to the second and third stories of places. So now we're jumping to 6 a.m. There were strong earthquakes in between. Some survivors are trying to flee, and look at what they would have had to get through. You wouldn't even be able to hardly walk or crawl, and you can't breathe in this air. It is so full of ash and poisonous gases that it would be hard to breathe. And then by 6 o'clock, the last of the pyroclastic surges hit Pompeii and would have taken out anything that nothing could survive after this. Here it comes. Shooting down the mountain. Buried, not to be found for hundreds of years by an archaeologist. So there you have to make these decisions and decide kind of what your character is going to